Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
We've done it before. Why are you
I said we can't.
keep looking at me like
I
you
had,
can't
I
invest in
had,
me?
no, because I had grandpa on air.
Coffee already. Coffee. So.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, we'll call the meeting of the Commission on Aging April 10th meeting to order. First order of business is the approval of the minutes, which are on the screen
So my apologies.
for your review. So we'll take a few minutes to read through them and
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, I'm terribly sorry, so I'm just gonna go down a little bit. Does anybody want me to read them out loud?
is 5 the last,
No.
and then the report from the director.
Purpose, and then this is short and sweet.
I would move to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. There are no public appearances, so we'll move into the agenda. The first item is the 2025-26 outreach plan. Jill, do you want to bring us
Yeah.
up to date?
Yep, so I know that we had a few that couldn't come, so I'm just gonna bring you up to speed, and that's okay. We had a really, I think, productive meeting for a working meeting. I think it brought together a lot of good ideas, and so we did accomplish some really good things. We were able to identify or finalize our introductory statement. That's what we're gonna call it now, rather than an elevator speech. We were able to define the purpose of outreach with some discussion around that topic. We were able to narrow down our target audience, and then based on that target audience, break that down a little bit further to determine how and who we wanna really target, and then narrowing that scope of what that outreach is gonna look like to that target audience. So a really good meeting, appreciate everybody's input. Janice, thank Janice for helping me facilitate. She did a great job just really asking some hard questions and getting down to what we really needed to build a real solid plan to move forward. We will have another working meeting to develop some strategies, but Janice, please add any comments that you might have.
No, you're fine on that. I think we did make a lot of progress, and it was a matter of us just verifying the goal that Jill had established or had mentioned to us, quite a while ago in terms of outreach. And like she said, then we were able to say, okay, what's the purpose of outreach? Because that's such a broad topic. And so we came up with a statement as to why are we doing outreach? And again, and that was all in the guise, under the guise of doing foundation setting. That's really what we did on the first meeting. Foundation setting, which talked about your goals and why, and then it talked about who and why, and we actually ended up talking about breaking down several different groups, and one that we kind of landed on was residents that we really want to focus on. And then we broke it down to the point where residents, we're really looking at districts, and there's some steps we want to take so that we understand and learn more about the residents and how do we address them, and how do we outreach to them. And then we did a section on coming up with some ideas of the how. So once we understand the needs of that particular district, then we can talk about how do we go about outreaching to them. So that was kind of where we still have a little more work to do on that to solidify that, but it was a really good meeting, and I appreciated everybody's input, and I think that was a really good working meeting, and so we have part 2 coming.
Yeah, part 2,
Yes.
but I just want to thank everybody too, and Janice too, because I know I walked away with a sense of relief, because this outreach topic has just been rolling around in my brain for years, and how to do it, how to capture, you know, who to target, how to target it, and just with the commitment from the Commission on Aging and their involvement in this process, it feels really positive, and I feel really excited about how we're going to move forward and reach out to the entire community.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, after the second meeting, then we'll be able to solidify the plan as a whole, but then also have documents and templates to walk us through every time we have a long-range goal, you know. And this particular, we also identified timeframes.
Yeah.
So when it's all said and done, we'll have a really good plan, and we'll have working template documents so that we can track and measure and et cetera, et cetera. So.
And Donna or Barb, do you have anything to add
Well,
about the
I think
meeting?
it's just really clear and clarified what we want to do, and a path forward to doing it in a simplified way. It's not complicated, it's not hard to understand, or lots of charts and
exactly.
and so on.
Yeah.
It's just really,
Donna.
When just one other takeaway was it was a good reminder that this is not the responsibility, the actions are not the responsibility of the director, but rather to oversee those activities, and that all of us around this table and on your team and maybe a cadre of other people will be a part of achieving this plan. And once we have that in place, how seemingly simple it would be then to replicate that for whatever population we
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the whole template of it, and accountability is going to be strong on all of us around this table.
Yeah, so very appreciative and really excited. So I will send out, kind of like I did before, one of the doodles with a lot of different days and times. I think we're going to try to do it before our May meeting. I think. I know Janice you're gone for a little bit, so I'll throw out some, but we want to just keep the momentum, you know. So okay. All right.
Any other questions or comments? Capital improvement plan?
Okay, so I don't have an actual plan, and this was due this week, and I just really wanted to bring you, make you aware of what is in the capital improvement plan. So that is $10,000 or more. If I have anything for $10,000 or more, you can lump some things together. So what is in the capital improvement plan this year that was approved is we're doing AV upgrades in the dining room, so we don't have to haul in speakers and all that kind of stuff for programs, and that's actually through FACTv. They house all of the money for AV upgrades, so we're working with Jeremy already to bring somebody in and give us an estimate of what it would cost to kind of redo and upgrade all the AV in the dining room. So that's this year.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Is over in the senior center, is that the only place we have AV is in the dining hall?
No, I mean the other rooms, the Prairie View and the Sain already have everything hooked up and ceiling projectors. Okay. The other room that will be done that Jeremy will probably handle more is upstairs. It's called the Fitchburg room. It's if you go down the hallway, the connecting hallway is to the left.
Oh, okay.
That was the old council chambers years ago. So anyway, they're gonna, because there is no projector or anything in there either, so he'll work on doing that this year, which will be really nice. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Also too, this year we are allocated up to $50,000 to replace tables and chairs downstairs. So I'm gonna be starting that process soon. I wanna make the right decision about what's gonna be the tables that are gonna do the most for us. You know, I know people want round, they wanna keep the round, square is easier, so just some investigation about how do we really fit the most people in that dining room? Because we're seeing that it's more and more a presentation sort of situation, but the round tables are really nice for social and eating, and so I'll be looking at some different varieties. There are tables that are round, they are 54 inches, but you can fold down the edges, and then they're square. We did have some of those years ago, but the quality wasn't that good, and those, they kind of bend. And, but so anyway, I'll start investigating that. We did get all new tables and chairs up here this week. That was in the works since last year, so they finally arrived. So upstairs, we were able to get rid of a lot of dirty, kind of bent, yucky tables and chairs. Unstable, yeah. And so
I was doing an art project and the leg went under.
Yeah,
all of our stuff fell out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they were old. They were pretty old. So anyway, so just doing little things here and there. So that's kind of currently, but in the CIP right now. So a couple of years ago, I put in for a remodel and upgrade of the kitchen because I really would like that to be a commercial kitchen. I think it will give us some flexibility moving forward. We don't know where nutrition is gonna go, but if we had a caterer's kitchen, a commercial kitchen, we actually could contract with a provider to cook, but we cannot do that now. We are considered a warming kitchen. And so I had put in $500,000 to do some upgrades. It's slotted for 2027, because our CIP is like 10, 20 years, it's far out. And so we'll see where that goes, but I just wanted to start the discussion with the city about looking at that space down there. And then there's some other kitchen equipment that needs to be replaced in 2031. But you have to be thinking ahead, the life of each of those big pieces of equipment, like the warming that keeps all the food warm, will be about $16,000 to replace. So just some of those big ticket items, but I did not put any new proposals in because those are the tables, the chairs, kitchen stuff. Otherwise, I don't really deal with anything that costs $10,000 or more. So
have we ever, or can we receive donations on some of that stuff?
Oh yeah. Years
So I was
ago,
thinking,
we got our
who's the
refrigerators
catering?
donated.
The catering company that's over there on Fitch, is that Fitch Road?
A catering company?
No, they do parties and stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's like a party supply place or something?
Well, you can hire them to come in and do we had them come in and do a Pilker game night.
Yeah, I've talked to them.
I was just wondering about talking to them, maybe see if they would be willing to sponsor something like that for us.
Oh yeah, there's options. We can get some stuff donated.
Okay.
So, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I wasn't sure if that was possible or.
What does that mean, Jill, that you could contract meal preparation?
Well, right now we are tied into Atlantis Valley Foods, and that's a county contract. It could be if the county was open to it, so that we find our own caterer and they just give us the money. Because like Sun Prairie, they cook their own food there. They have a caterer's kitchen. They actually have a cook too, and so they can prepare.
So every day
meals.
for lunch they have their own.
Yeah. They have to have their menus approved by Dade County
right.
and that sort of thing. Once in a while, Stoughton will cook on site and offer a special meal. We just don't have that option ever.
Is that do you want to do cooking?
I want the option of, I don't want to cook, but I want.
Why
don't you cook it? No.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I want the option of the flexibility of if we wanted to do something special and a chef came in, they could prepare something. If we want to offer cooking classes ever, we have to have a commercial kitchen. It's something that I really wanted to do when we did the renovation, and I couldn't convince them to give me any more money to make it a kitchen, a commercial kitchen. Also too, the county has rolled out, which I think is probably not ever gonna happen, but that everybody that serves meals has to have a commercial kitchen. And I was like, listen, a lot of these meals are being served in like one room senior center, so I don't think that's gonna happen unless they give funding. But so anyway, also too, if if this is a rental space and that's something that the city wants to pursue, so there's some discussions that I want to have at the city level, because, you know, the space after 4 is not mine. On the weekends, it's rented. We don't rent the kitchen anymore. We used to.
Yes.
Comes
to mind with a commercial kitchen, that would be very rentable.
It would be very rentable. So I don't know, but it's worth a discussion. We got a couple years. That's why you put it out there so we can talk about what are the needs in the future. And if there are gonna be needs, let's slot some money and talk about what that looks like.
They do Meals on Wheels as well. They prepare all of that.
Well, yeah, and that is going down a different road if we were to cook on site, you know. But it would, I just feel like it would give us more options.
Sure.
To be a commercial kitchen. And truly, we need we need a better vent, we need a hand washing sink. It's not as much as you think, because we've got the 3 compartment sinks, we've already got 1 hand washing sink, we've got commercial dishwashers, we would have to get a commercial fridge, which maybe we could get donated. So it's not as much as you might think, but it's worth exploring.
Do we have a space for it?
No, that's some of it too.
Just getting ready to say space.
No, we don't.
That's why I was wondering if you could fit a commercial fridge in that little kitchen.
Yeah, we used to, because we got rid of the soffit, yeah. So anyway, but that's been in there now, so again, besides those items, you know, once we lump the tables and chairs together, that's all the big ticket items I have. The rest might come from building maintenance, you know, for carpet or anything like that, but I don't really have big ticket items, so.
That wouldn't be out of your budget anyway, or what?
No. So.
If we did come up with a commercial kitchen with some of that funding, the money we may come to us, the senior center, or would go to the city?
Yeah, I mean, it would go to the city as a city project for sure, yeah. But we could help.
I just thought maybe.
Solicit for donations, so, yeah.
And create activity and awareness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
It might help create some activity and those off times. And that awareness piece that we talked about at our working meeting. That people just don't know we're here.
Well, and cooking classes are hot all over.
Is there a pun there somewhere?
I didn't think of it, but it
See
could
what
be.
you did there?
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Well, regarding awareness, I just want to say that I have been in at least 2 meetings in the last couple of weeks with people from who are not regular users of the senior center, who have on their own commented on what a welcoming atmosphere they find here and why they like to come.
Good.
So
Please share that with staff.
Well, I think that we maybe don't appreciate it because they don't, you know, spontaneously send you a note or something, but I think the general perception is that it's a welcoming place.
Good. Thanks for sharing.
And these were people that were, you know, living in the area. One person was at a meeting I was at yesterday, was here from Door County, who said that while she attends her senior center there, she observed that this was a very welcoming place. So I just wanted to pass that on, that I think, you know, maybe I will keep my ear to the ground a little bit more.
To hear just any comments,
Yeah.
good, bad, or otherwise.
I know there's 2 newer African American women who started coming in the last month.
Yeah.
And they
some
both have
yesterday.
said how welcoming the place is, which warmed my heart.
Good.
Sometimes, and everybody's busy,
Yeah.
you're busy doing whatever. But several people in the hallway, are you looking for something? Do you need help? And they felt really comfortable, so they've been coming back. So that's for me, that's a great improvement too.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, Jerry, Friends report?
Okay, you can just take it right off the meeting minutes from last month. Primary thing is the pancake breakfast on April 27th. We've been working pretty heavily on that, getting it ready and that kind of thing. And the advertising for it should be going out within a couple of days or so. So keep the day open.
Are there going to be flyers? So we can post them in buildings and businesses in the
yes,
community? Does somebody do that?
They take care of all that.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would say just make sure you, if you can, I don't know what your manpower is, or people power. Make sure you hit the senior buildings too. If you give me a few, I can put some over there on Telemar and Fahey Glen, because there's no,
In
it's
your
not a senior
buildings.
buildings,
Yeah.
but there's a seniors in that building.
Yeah, I'm
So-
happy to print some out.
Okay.
Has Marcia dropped them off downstairs?
Not, I haven't
Not
seen
yet.
them yet.
Okay,
Yeah. So did she have them printed at UPS,
I
like heavier duty signs?
don't know where she
Okay,
had them printed.
okay.
But yeah, we'll have to get you some.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Another thing is, again, from the last month's minutes, the travel show on April 23rd. It'll be the upper level senior center, I believe, with Mayflower's offerings for 2026. So you're all welcome to come to that and hear what they have to say, ask any questions you may have.
It's April 23rd?
Yes, 1 o'clock. And from a financial end, the Friends have picked up the tab for gifts for seniors over 90 years old for a senior appreciation party on May 14th, is it?
That's the May is Older Americans Month, and we always recognize people that are 90 plus. And we pulled our database, and there was about 100 people that were 90 plus here in Fitchburg. So we'll be going through there and make sure that.
And possibly 3 over
There are
100?
3 that are over 100. One just passed though, but the other 2 will be 100 this fall. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, and otherwise, we provided more than $540 for various activities and things in March.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
it.
you guys once again. Keep us rolling.
Okay, report from the director.
Okay. I'm gonna share some information about funding for the nutrition program with some of the changes, but before I do that, I'm just gonna recap some stuff that's gone on. First, I just wanted to pass out this insert that did not go in the Fitchburg Star because the Fitchburg Star is only a monthly paper, but it went in the Oregon Observer, the Verona Press,
What was on the front page?
the Stoughton Courier.
Those famous ladies of Fitchburg Senior Center.
That's a
Look at she flagged that from me.
I told you, I've
Full
seen.
length photo, the same photo on the
May I have
second
your,
page.
may I have your autograph?
That's right,
Yeah.
but there are 2 things.
Yes,
In February, the
Yes.
to the Fitchburg
Yes.
seniors credit,
yeah, the Fitchburg Star.
the Fitchburg Star.
Yeah.
There was a front page story. They interviewed me, and it was all on that particular thing. And this is a duplicate kind of what was on the Fitchburg Star.
Right, but the Young at Heart insert only comes out about quarterly. And so I was starting to get calls from my
Yeah.
friends in Stoughton saying, you guys made the front page, and so
Yeah.
I didn't know
You had to
anything
go get
about
it.
this.
You know, that's a lovely picture.
It is.
Thank
Well,
you.
then you open it up and it's another picture and a really beautiful article and a photo of.
Wow.
So this went out to all the communities around us, and I was really grateful to the Fitchburg Star for featuring the Fitchburg Senior Center in Janice and but, you know, it's kind of about the lunch and learn. But yeah,
It's a great shot of the center.
and then a nice, photo of the center and just a really nice write-up. And so,
Look at how nice, guys. I'm impressed. You guys are famous.
we were in all the other communities. I just kept getting calls and they said, you're in the paper. And I said, I don't.
What paper? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then it's like, no, someone said, I'm gonna wallpaper my bedroom, it's so big. And I was like,
Oh, wait.
No, without
great
doubt.
recognition.
Yeah, because I got calls about Fitchburg when that article came out in Fitchburg in February, and then it came out, you know, in these other areas, and so.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, so,
it
very
was a
thankful.
nice, yeah.
Bless it.
Yeah, so anyway,
Good recognition.
a really nice recognition.
I may
so,
learn something.
Wow, that's a big.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that-
You don't need your glasses for
Yeah.
that one.
The Young
I
at
thought this
Heart,
is definitely for the seniors, right?
yeah. It's a great insert though. I mean, they always feature a lot of good stuff. So
I
anyway,
remember seeing that. So it comes out every spring?
I think it comes out
Quarterly.
maybe quarterly, yeah.
For
Yeah.
this particular area.
Well, it's for so it's all under, I don't think they're called Unified Newspaper anymore. I can't remember what they're called. But it's all this kind of small surrounding communities. But again,
Right.
yeah, what's that?
In Dane County?
Yeah.
Okay.
But because we are not a weekly paper like the other ones are, Fitchburg doesn't get this insert.
Oh,
That's
well,
why. Yeah.
I won't get excited about it.
But Fitchburg, give credit to
Yeah, for
Fitchburg,
sure.
they did an article in February.
The same
before
one,
the-
actually.
before
This
the-
is
But
just
did
a
they give
bigger-
that gorgeous picture?
Yes.
It's on
Oh,
the
yeah.
front page
This is
of
kind of the
Fitchburg
same
Sorry,
article.
February.
Okay, I must not have remembered, I don't remember getting it last
Yeah.
time.
So anyway,
Yeah.
it's just a nice, it was nice recognition, so I just wanted to bring
Yeah,
that.
that's great.
Okay, other things that I want to talk about is I know as we work on our outreach plan, in parallel running is our ambassador program where we've got some trained volunteers that are going out to just smaller events around the community. So Jesus and the library is hosting a bilingual resource fair on the 26th, so the day before the pancake breakfast. So Jesus is going to be over there because he's our Spanish-speaking representative, and so we'll have a table with information. And then the Munchmobiles, which I've talked about before, they first started just in the summer for kids when they weren't at school, but now they kind of go year-round. And they stop at area parks just for a half an hour, and they offer fresh produce and sandwiches and just really nice things. And our social workers have stopped there, but it's a really nice outreach opportunity. So Christy, who is on the multicultural work group, she went over to the one across the street from Highline yesterday and gave out some goodie bags that have the stop for lunch coupons in there. Some folks knew about us, some didn't, but it's just simple. She just was out there. Do you know about the senior center? So we've got some people working behind the scenes doing a little outreach at these smaller events. So that's kind of nice. We are offering rides to the pancake breakfast, hopefully through our RSVP drivers. So hopefully, we know we had a few lunch people asking about that. I was not able to, our March, our monthly reports, it always is due after the commission meeting, so I didn't attach it. But I will send it to you guys because it'll be due on Friday, so you can see our monthly report. But I did want to mention the social workers, because we are funded by the county at about $87,000. They have to put in a quarterly report for case management, which highlights what the issues are, what are the trends are, and this is something that I just want to briefly mention each time because it gives you a snapshot of who we're serving and how. So you have to put positive news, emerging trends, issues, and challenges. And so this quarter, one of our case managers was able to acquire affordable apartment, set up transportation, Medicaid, food share, and VA funding, and other VA benefits he was entitled to receive. He also started coming to the center, decreasing his isolation and depression. It really was a really success story. Emerging trends, not surprising, affordable housing shortage, people not able to pay their rent, which is across the county, and people having to move. An uptick in non-renewals at apartment buildings due to change in management that we're seeing, and then assisting to find new housing.
And apartments are sending out lease renewal notices 6 months in advance. I was like, I don't even know where I'll be on June 1st, and you want to know whether I want to live here.
Yeah.
So it's getting crazy, but these buildings, the apartments that are going up, they're still, 2 bedrooms are over $2,000.
And that's not for the average senior.
I said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. All of this stuff that's being built isn't accessible for a lot of seniors.
Right. Highline just, they're completely full for the first time, which is great, but that's more affordable. So, that's one less option people have. So client issues, extensive time spent with clients who need help filling out guardianship. We have a lot of that when they just don't have any family members. They can't make decisions on their own. You have to work with adult protective services. It's quite a process. clients that are enrolled in family care, which we are not supposed to case manage, but we have to because family care doesn't give them the support they need because their staff turnover isn't there. They just, a lack of availability.
What is
It's really
family
hard.
care? I'm sorry.
Family care is it's a Medicaid waiver program, so people can stay at home with services.
Okay.
So home health,
In theory, they would come to you
medication,
if
right.
you needed something.
Right, so you don't have to go to a nursing home prematurely because there you can get Medicaid. It's a way to keep people in their own homes.
Okay.
And so family care is,
That's
there's providers under that umbrella called managed care organizations. So, so anyway, it's a struggle because we can't, anybody who's on Medicaid, we can bill for. But if family care is the provider and we're doing the work, we cannot bill for. So this is being discussed at a county level. So anyway, I want to be able to bring these just small tidbits and then eventually bring the case managers in front of you to just talk more in depth about what their role is and how it's changing.
We have 2.5?
2.5, yep, 2.5. This week we have somebody officing downstairs from LPI, which is a company that's going to take over our newsletter publishing, hopefully by July. So what she's doing is soliciting businesses for ads because they'll take over doing everything, except we still have to give them the content, but it'll be in color, and I think it'll look more professional. And so she's just been, I don't even know if she takes a break. She's in there from like 8:30 to 5:30, 6 o'clock making calls. So hopefully that's going well. This is her last day here, and then we'll get an update. But so anyway, we're starting to work with LPI to make that transition by July 1st.
And this was
Susie on vacation?
She's
Different topic, but totally different.
she had some personal things. Not a vacation really, but she did take a day off today and Monday.
Will submissions to LPI be any different in terms of the time frame?
Yeah, the turnaround's pretty quick.
So we don't have to get things to them earlier than?
About a week before they need to print it. So it might be about a week earlier. Usually we tell people if they want to put something in our newsletter, give it to us by the middle of the month. We're probably looking at the first of the month so we can get it to LPI. So it might tighten those deadlines.
Will the submissions go to David as
Yes,
now?
and he'll
then
still be doing all the content.
Okay.
So it doesn't really lessen his work a whole lot.
Yeah,
So
just for layout and so
the
on.
layout will have more availability of like photos.
Better product in hand.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah,
Move up the deadline for David.
probably. Yeah. So
Question, Jerry?
yeah, good question. Let's see. We had a packed house for the lunch and learn. Packed.
Yeah,
It was
we
packed.
did.
Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh, yeah,
Wright.
yeah.
It was the Frank
People were
Lloyd
really
Wright,
interested.
and it was extremely well attended, and she did a fantastic job. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this guy is actually brilliant. You know, he's an architect.
Right.
He was a writer. He's the designer and an educator, and she really spent a lot of time just explaining so much. It was really good, and the room was really full.
And great pictures too.
Yeah.
If you've never been to
Great, yeah,
Tallahassee, you
absolutely.
really did get a sense.
It was really,
What it was
really
like.
good.
Yeah, that was a really fun topic.
And again, all of the lunch and learns are being filmed, and they're out of FACTv. So,
Let's see where those are.
the next one coming next week is occupational therapy. So there'll be a therapist from UW to talk about occupational therapy and the benefits of it all for older adults.
I wonder if when you put the dates for the next lunch and learn, like at the beginning of the month, you can put a link to where they are on FACTv.
Oh, that's a good idea. Because I
You
don't
know, for
I'm
the
not-
past ones
yeah.
on FACTv, so people
Yeah.
can easily, I just go to this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We
You
can
can do that.
so people know.
What? Yeah. For the Black History one, Dave did put it in there.
Oh, he
that
did.
way. It
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
link. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a link there.
But
So.
And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a live link, but even if people see the address of FACTv, where to find it, because there's a lot of stuff on FACTv.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
a lot of
it
stuff,
is,
yeah. In fact, Jeremy wants to get back on. Everybody wants to get on. Janice has got a reputation now. Can I get on that lunch and learn? And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think you can until 2027.
Yeah,
I love
no way, yeah.
That's not a bad thing, though.
Yeah,
it's a great thing, but I was like, no, you're gonna have to wait a while.
Because there's people who come to the center that don't usually come.
Yeah, we're seeing.
They'll come to lunch and learn.
I got a really nice compliment from somebody who came from the first time, and she was like, that was great, we'll be coming to more. So almost every lunch and learn, I'm seeing different people, and it's starting to catch on. And yeah, it's great. And the best part is Janice is doing it, not me.
Yeah, that would be the good part.
That's the best part.
Have you read Loving Frank?
Yes,
Well, no, I haven't, but I've heard about it.
Worth a read.
yes,
Yeah.
such a good book.
Question for you as director. Funding concerns as we're moving forward. I know federal funding is just a bouncing ball.
Well, that's what I'm gonna show you guys.
We're on the
You're
same
ahead.
page, because
Yeah.
some questions myself.
And it's good timing, because I think that is everything that I have on my schedule, or on my update. Unless you guys have got any questions, I'll move into what I want to share about nutrition funding mostly.
Which is big.
Yeah.
It is big, and we don't know yet. We don't know. It's good timing because the county is, we're working right now for our budget requests with Dane County. And as you remember, we get funding for case management, which is non-mandated. So the county, that is just general levy that the Dane County gives all the focal points for case management. But nutrition funding comes through the Older Americans Act. So that's what we're a little bit concerned about in terms of what that's gonna look like, moving forward. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep the thing up on the side. Okay. Last month I did a program, well Mandy was, but she was sick, to Committee of the Whole, because March is Meals Month. And it's just good to keep them updated about what the meal program is, because a lot of them don't understand. So I'll go through some of this quickly.
Who did you do it to? I'm sorry.
The Committee of the Whole, which is council, and it's just an information sharing. They have it once a month where they have different topics.
Okay.
So we got to slide in. So this is from Dane County, what the meal program is. When it was created way back in '65 from the Older Americans Month, the target population for those meals was low-income older adults from minority populations, older adults living in rural areas, and socially and economically needy. So that's what the target from the feds, when this money was allocated, that is what they determined. Also, there's no income limit or asset test. And each year it's a donation, so nobody is charged anything. If people want to know, what do I owe, we get that a lot. We might say you had X number of meals this month, you can make a donation, whatever you can afford, and then the county says we have to say a suggested donation. So I think you know why we have meals, reduce hunger and social isolation, promote health and wellness. But here's the funding that I wanted to share. So this is for Dane County here. The Older Americans Act, which is what we're kind of watching, is funded at 43% for the meals. Nutrition donations, so it is important, to make a donation, if it's $1, whatever, it's 23%. So that's the second highest part of how these meals are covered. Then you have the federal USDA. So those are grants that I'm going to talk about that were in jeopardy not that long ago, and that's 9%. Managed care organizations, so when I'm talking about family care and they put somebody on a meal, those organizations have to pay full price for those meals. So that's right now maybe just about $14 a meal. So anybody that's put on a meal that's under the family care umbrella, those managed care organizations have to pay full price. It's not a donation. So it's kind of interesting. So they're 8% of that income, and then the county throws in another 17%. So that could go away as well. Down here. So recently, Older Americans Act and the meal program is called Title III. So there's all kind of titles under the Older Americans Act. But what they primarily funnel through the Area Agency on Aging, which is where we get our money, is supportive services. So transportation, they do some home chore, like very little money for that. What else do they do? I'll go to the next thing. Yeah, it's not disease. So the nutrition program is Title C3 that I know more about. Title 3D is disease prevention and health promotion. They'll do some evidence-based classes that are more affordable. And then lastly is national caregivers. So we saw money go up last year in the caregiver area, but not a lot of increases anywhere else. So this Older Americans Title III money actually comes through the Administration for Community Living. This is where it got dicey because they let a lot of folks go recently that are in this, under this umbrella. So they are set, their role is to advance independence and inclusion for older adults and people with disabilities. And so they house a lot of programs. Now the funding, they didn't say the funding was cut, but the staffing has been cut. So we're still waiting to see what's gonna happen. So this is what the Administration for Community Living, they support Aging and Disability Resource Centers. So those are ADRCs. Those are right down at Dane County. So we work with the ADRCs. If somebody has to go on Medicaid, food stamps, that kind of stuff, that's where we send people to, the ADRC. They can do short-term case management, 3 months or less, but if that person is still struggling and needs ongoing case management, those clients are referred back to the focal points. And so ADRCs is a gateway for a lot of programs, but never anything long-term. Okay. American with Disabilities Act, that's what ACL does that. Area agencies on aging. So that's when I say AAA, that's who we work with for our money for case management and nutrition. They do assistive technology, centers for independent living, protection and advocacy systems, senior centers and supportive services for older adults, state councils on developmental disabilities, state units on aging, and university centers for excellence in development disabilities. So ACL does a lot. Our part goes through the area agency on aging. So I pulled out some other things because I found this was interesting. This is Wisconsin, and this shows you what Wisconsin was allocated in 2024 for services. So Wisconsin got $7,400,000 for those supportive services. So this is for the whole state. They got $10 million for congregate meals. They got $6,800,000 for home delivered meals. They got $400,000, almost $500,000 for preventative services. They got $3,400,000 for caregiver support. So a total for all of these was $28,450,000. So this is for the state. Now this goes from the state, and then it starts to get trickled down to each county.
So is the, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is there a ranking here?
Nope.
It just happens to be.
So let me, yeah.
Oh,
so
it's ABC order. Okay, gotcha.
What this money is allocated, Older Americans money is allocated mostly by census data. Who's 60 and older? That's kind of what they allocate that money.
Okay.
And so that's why you'll see states with different amounts. So then when that money gets down to Dane County, and there's just so many different formulas, this is just for nutrition. Dane County then looks at, they give providers, whoever has a nutrition site, a base amount for just having a nutrition site. And then they look at the number of meals you're serving. And then, I think I've talked about these formulas, they look at who's age over 65 and living alone, and that gives you a percentage that's weighted. Who's eligible for food share, that's over 60, so that's weighted. Older adults that live in rural areas are given a higher percentage of weight, and then people of color. So that is how then Dane County takes their chunk of money for meals and they throw it in this formula looking at every focal point based on the information provided off of those forms that we have to fill out, and then our money is allocated like that.
So it's the 65 living alone who are getting meals.
Yes.
Eligible for food share over 60 who are getting meals, not just your population.
No, it's our population.
Okay.
But it's also, but if we don't have very many eating meals, the performance, number of meals, that would impact it.
Right.
But this is our population.
So all of
Yes.
that, those
Yes.
other categories are all based on the census?
Number of
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
The big number from the feds is all based on census.
Right.
And then it goes down to counties. So then the county each county develops their own formula for distributing the money, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
This is Dane County's formula, which is very similar to case management. So they look at our demographics,
Yeah.
and then they allocate based on our demographics plus who we're serving, because we have to report, but it's
Which makes sense,
Yes.
because I mean, all counties are so different.
correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, exactly. And when I talk about area agencies on aging, there's only 3 in the state. There's Dane County, there's Milwaukee County, and then there's GWAR, the Greater Wisconsin Area on Aging Resource. So they cover
Which is the rest of the state?
the rest of the state. So they have people all over the state working nutrition sites up north, but because Milwaukee's so big and Dane County's, we have our own AAA. So there's only 3 in the state. So anyway, that is a little bit of a snapshot. This is just a little history of our funding over the years. 2020, we were just about at 30,000 for nutrition, and in 2025, we're at 43,000. So we have seen increases every year, except this year. Last year, we were at 45,500, and this year we're at 43,700. And this is the way they explained it to me because of how things are weighted. Even, first of all, they look 2 years back at your meals, and then you're compared against every other focal point. But if you have if your percentage is less than somebody else's in terms of an increase in number of meals you serve, you're weighted less. So an example is Belleville. Belleville used to be 3 days a week, and then I think they added a couple days a week. So they served more meals percentage-wise. Even though they were serving a lot less than us, their percentage went up.
Adding those days.
Adding those days, so they serve more meals percentage-wise. They increased more than we did, but meals, I mean, we are heads and shoulders above. So I was talking to the county this week because they're looking at these formulas again because they don't make a lot of sense. They just don't.
That's a common people.
Because why they don't, and they didn't make a sense to her. But it's kind of something like, well, we've always done it this way. And delving into these formulas, it's going to get. It's difficult. Somebody will lose, somebody will win, funding will be pulled, but I think it's time to really look at these formulas. So we've been lucky though. I mean, we've been serving more people, and that's reflective in our funding. So this here shows our total number of meals this year, which is 18,000, and it was about 2,000 more than last year. We were at 16,000 something, and now we're at 18,500.
I can't believe Wanakee serves more than us.
Yeah, Wanakee's a little bit higher than us. Stoughton has a very old population, even though they're half our size. I think they do approximately 75 home-delivered meals a day.
A day?
A day.
I can't imagine how many.
We do about 40. Yeah, so they do about 75.
Do they have a professional kitchen?
Wanakee does have a commercial kitchen because they're so far away. They contract with the Wanakee School District.
Oh,
and
that
they
makes
bring
sense.
their food in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Sun
Hours
Prairie have so
allocated.
many because they cover such a wide area.
Sun Prairie covers every single town around it. I don't even know town of Bergen.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
They also cover. I think they even go. They take in all of Cottage Grove too. So they
they've got a
cover
lot
some
of-
huge territories. So those drivers are out on the road.
Yeah, so
They
there's
got
a
a lot
lot
of
of
drivers. There's a lot of
variables,
exactly,
yeah, it's a lot
and
of
that's why
variables.
they weight rural older adults
Which makes
pretty
sense.
high
Yeah,
because there's
it
not
takes
access.
more it takes more to access them.
And it takes more to access them, but they don't have access to grocery stores as often. And so it's interesting. And if anybody wants to serve on the Dane County Access Committee and work on this formula, let me know. They're always looking for people.
I'm sure they are.
They're always looking for people.
Yeah, so that's why it's difficult to just to say, Belleville, versus us, blah,
Right.
blah. It's so many variables
It's
that
so
go
many
into it.
variables.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
not
you
black and
can't-
white.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't envy whomever has to start delving into that formula. This is just a 10-year history of our meals. Way back in 2014, we were at 11,000. We got really high in 2017 at almost 16,000. COVID hit, you can see we went down. And then about every year since almost 2020, we've increased it about 2,000 meals. 2020 we were at 10,000, now we're at 18,000. Last year we were at 16, the year before we were at 14. Coming out of COVID, we were back to 11,000 meals. So that's just a quick snapshot.
Do we have a breakdown in terms of the ones that Meals on Wheels versus those that come here?
I can. I don't have it on this slide, but I absolutely have a breakdown.
Do you also have rural versus city? Maybe not.
Not readily, no.
Okay.
I'm just interested how
This would
many.
be interesting to see the
Yeah.
breakdown of all those.
I can definitely get you the breakdown of home delivered and congregate. And then this was just kind of part of what I was sharing with the committee of the whole, Peer Place. Remember Shannon was here from Dane County talking about data input for SAMS, which is the system so that goes back up to the federal government, these kind of databases. So this is a new system they rolled out just this last fall. And it's gonna be better, but the learning curve has been pretty high. In addition, it added about 6 pages to the assessment sheets. So this is just one page. It's called their determinant questions. So what it gets pretty complicated. It's a lot for the case managers to fill out, but it's what they need. So they're really just trying to address their nutritional risk and what else goes along with that. So this one here talks about, do you have an illness? And then they say, is it a chronic condition? Have you had any falls? And so if they say yes, you move over to the next panel. Okay, let's refer you to a dietitian. Let's refer you to a healthcare specialist. Let's refer you to a no falls class. So you go through this 7-page survey.
For each client?
Yeah, for each client, for home delivered, because they're more at risk. And then based on those answers, it's determined if that client can have the number of meals they can have per week. So they have to score in certain areas. So, and this is because funding hasn't kept up with need. And so now they're like, well, you can't just give everybody a meal every day. If their risk is higher, they can get it 5 days a week.
But if your risk isn't high, you can't eat every day. You can only eat every other day.
Exactly. That is how they're doing it now. So this is that home delivered meal assessment is 7 pages.
And did they give you extra funding for staff hours to help?
That's what we're fighting with Dane County right now. So we have to give them a budget request, and we said, we need more money for admin, because this 7-page form, not only do the case managers have to fill it out, all this data then needs to go into Peer Place. And we used to be able to use volunteers, but it's really difficult, because if you make a mistake, if the name is wrong, so there's a low level of accountability. You can't file, I'm not gonna say to a volunteer, you're not doing this right.
Right.
So staff is doing it right now, but we got a little pushback that wasn't gonna be looked upon favorably, to ask for admin.
Is that an intake assessment, or does it have to be done on a recurring basis?
Every year it has to be, you
Once
have
a
to have a
year.
reassessment, yeah.
All
Yeah.
7 pages every year, or can you say,
All
we
7.
did this last year and they're good?
No, you have to fill it out again.
I just thought maybe.
Yeah, right? I'm sure we've tried.
And
So-
how many of those are done how many do you do then of those 7-page?
Everybody who gets home meals.
Yeah, so, and some of the issue is,
18,000?
well, no, 18,000 is all the meals.
It's
So
all
congregate
meals.
is, they kind of fill it out themselves, like this is
Oh,
congregate. And that's it's a much shorter form. I can't get rid of that picture. And so they can fill that out themselves oftentimes.
But the
and
data still has to be input.
the data still has to be inputted. And so there's a little bit about your nutritional risk, but that doesn't determine how many meals or anything that they get. So yeah, again, we presented the budget request to Dane County last week and they came back. We present it to AAA. That's how where it goes. And then they send it to their board and they send it to legislative and then they send it to Dane County DHS. So it's a lengthy process. But anyway, they didn't like the admin request.
Do they understand the reasoning for it?
Yeah, they do.
But they don't care.
But this is a hard year anyway, because we don't even know.
Right.
Yeah, and
What
we're
funding we're
only
gonna get.
one, and we're one.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're only one, group.
We're one agency.
Agency, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of them out there, like.
Oh, yeah. Dane County we're called a purchase of service provider, and they have a ton of purchase, and everybody's gonna ask for an increase.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it does get really hard, and I get it, but you have to at least share, the increases that everybody's seeing, the admin time, so at least somebody knows.
Right. Somewhere it's documented. Yeah.
Somewhere it's documented, right. So that's pretty much, this was kind of our program. Dane County does a survey of all congregant home delivered meal people. It's a random survey that they mail out right from the county. And this just kind of says why people eat. And
They mail them out to the recipients of the meals?
yes, yeah. So the home delivered meal people will get something from Dane County, a survey. And so this is the results of that the home delivered meal participants responded that the main reason that they like getting their meal is it feels that other people care about me, and it gives them structure to their day, and it's somebody to talk to. So those were sort of the big ones.
I wonder what's the response there, because a lot of those individuals that are at home aren't necessarily capable of filling out all these surveys.
I can get that. I can get that for you. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of just the ending part of, it's more than a meal, and it is more than a meal. And then just some pictures of our diners.
So we haven't been informed yet of any, other than the 1,800 from county, the reduction based on formula. We haven't.
Oh, for this year, for 2025, yeah.
For current year, we haven't been informed of any.
And we won't be. I mean, we're starting the process now. Again, it goes just like the city. It takes months. And usually the DHS, I think we have an interim director still. She'll then send out her recommendations of what all the proposals look like. And then if you're not satisfied, if it doesn't meet what you asked for, then you can start that advocacy by going to your Dane County Board of Supervisors. You go to Health and Human Needs and testify why you need that increase. So we won't, I mean, we'll kind of have an idea. They might just say there's no increase. We'll be lucky if we can keep status quo.
Okay.
That's what I think. We'll be lucky if we can keep
And
status
about
quo.
when do you know this?
I bet July-ish, June-ish. So
If nothing else happens.
right.
So, obviously, older adults are our business, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff going on out in the world today. So from a national perspective, there is a national senior center kind of
There's a
oversight, right?
Yes.
Contingencies, are there discussions? Because there's, like I said, so much going on out there, so much chaos, so much unknown.
Yeah.
What's happening? Is there discussions?
So, I mean, I can't speak to what those discussions entail, but I know that representatives from every area agency on aging, they're on national calls, trying to do more advocacy around these funding issues and other issues too, including transportation. That's some of that supportive services. I knew there was a big one. So the area agencies, they're the ones that work on that federal level to work with other area agencies on aging that are getting this money to say this isn't going to work. And so that's where that comes. Once in a while, we get calls for action. Reach out. This bill is being looked at. There, especially around Older Americans Act funding when that's supposed to be reallocated. That's the best I can answer that, but I don't feel like I'm answering what you want to hear. What do you? I can.
No,
I'm just
curious. I guess I'm just curious from a standpoint about seniors in general, because there's so much unknown out there, and I'm sure so many of them are confused. They don't know about all the laws and the surveys and all the stuff, all the information they need to give.
Right.
And I'm concerned from a senior standpoint, the folks that we work with. How do we have a contingency in terms of helping them to de-escalate their stress, their concerns? I mean, from a senior center standpoint, is there anything about discussions with them or answering questions or to have some support for them? Because as we sit around, I mean, there's confusion from our standpoint, but those that can't really understand what's happening.
Right.
Is there something on the standpoint from a senior center's perspective, directors or what have you, how a contingency, how do you address some of the stuff that's going on out there with seniors?
You know, in other years, I feel like it would be an easier answer to say, you know, we can do this kind of advocacy and let's make your voice heard. But right now, from meals to the fear of Social Security to people not being able to get through, I don't know where we can get any answers. I keep hearing we're not sure yet, we don't know yet, like at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, could we have somebody from the Area Agency on Aging come and talk? Yeah, I think so.
And that's so much advocacy or you guys having the answers. Today's where nobody has the answer right now.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just concerned that, you know, some of them are on a day-to-day basis. What happens to me? You know, what happens to them? What happens if we don't get meals? I mean, so so that's my question. Is there contingency? Say for our center, do we have contingencies and say in case all of a sudden they, you know, take a lot of your money away from you?
Right.
What's our contingency?
We don't.
Well,
or do we have it?
I don't. I mean, when those grant monies, when we were first, when we thought possibly some of that funding was going away, AAA said, what will happen is we will only do home delivered, congregate will go away. So so my contingency for that, like I'm already, so maybe I had one. In my mind, I'm like, well, the friends
Well, see, okay, this
will help
They're like, wait a
support.
no.
Just a few lunches here and there, and maybe we can get restaurants.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to, I'm not looking for necessarily a big detailed thing, but is
What
that
happens?
something that's on the forefront of people's, of their
What's an
thoughts?
option?
It's loosely in my mind.
It could happen.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it happened when we lost our meal provider.
Yeah.
And, you know, then we contracted with restaurants here and we got things donated and, so, yeah, in my mind, there's no way we would let people not eat. Like, you know, or we would figure out a way, because I do have a very generous, Friends board. We have good relationships with, businesses. I think that would fund some things for us, so we could bring in pizza, we could do a meal, we can't cook here, but we could, you know, bring in something else, so.
You can warm it here.
We could warm in, yep, and so.
Those are short-term solutions.
Yeah, they wouldn't be long-term.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's all I was wondering, is there thoughts behind it? Because I mean, again, the chaos that's out there, so unknown, so many unknowns out there.
Yeah.
We need to be thinking about what ifs.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
Wow, that makes me nervous.
So,
It's good to be
so
prepared.
if that makes you nervous, imagine
Oh,
some
yeah.
of those older adults that come
Who have
here
nothing,
every day.
don't know anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's my concern.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we could have I have things always swirling in my head, but I don't have anything on paper.
Yeah.
But it's good to put it on paper, like an emergency plan.
Yeah,
you know?
it just.
Because the social isolation, I mean, that was COVID, and it was so awful, and we did a lot of outreach, we did a lot of drive-bys, we did a lot of going to apartments and outside and handing out candy, like, you know, just to make contact with people. And if you don't have a meal site, I mean, the nutrition risk is one thing, but
Socialization and isolation.
it's really, really scary.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I'm saying. What is
It
our
was
contingency?
up there on that list of things.
Whatever it is.
They come to talk to someone, to be with people.
Yeah.
And then when we lost our meal provider, I mean, that was like instant.
Yeah.
And we responded, and we responded well.
Yep.
However, we know what's happening, that what could be coming down the pipes.
Right.
Then we should have something in place to say, if this happens, this
I'll
is
put
what
all
we
my
do.
thoughts on paper
That actually makes sense.
and talk to friends.
But even, I mean, just the thoughts even would be nice.
For sure.
Mhm.
It's good. It's a good conversation.
Or at least the pressure points.
Yeah.
You may not have an answer,
Mhm.
but you really need to identify the areas that you need to attack.
Right.
Should that go away? The thing about the area agencies on aging having these calls. Who can they talk to? Is there anybody that's in charge that you can talk to that can give you an answer? Give them an answer, I should say. I mean, that's, I think, the frustrating part is even for citizens to make their voice known. There's nobody to talk to.
It's rough out there right now. You know, I'm more worried about just the cuts to Social Security offices. That's really paralyzing some people.
And ours were
You know,
halfway
death
staffed
benefits when your
anyway.
spouse dies. I mean, you know, it's the runarounds, the phone calls, and for older adults, I mean, that's where the case managers come in. We're gonna sit right next to you, either at your house or come in, and we're gonna be on hold. We're gonna just keep making those phone calls for you. But it's scary for people that don't have families. That,
Absolutely.
You know,
I guess that's where I'm coming
yeah, no,
from.
I think that's great.
That's true
It's a
where I'm
great
coming
idea.
from, and that,
Yeah.
and not only that, but there's like are there any opportunities to have conversations, to hear what's bothering them, what's making them nervous, what's, you know,
Right.
this is a stressful time for everybody.
Right.
But imagine somebody, like you said, is just here by themselves, have no family members, and you only have so many caseworkers.
Right.
So they can't, you know.
Right.
I just
No, we
want
can
us to start
certainly-
thinking about it from maybe a little bit of a different.
Hold the form.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to be real
Okay,
cognizant that
I
it
was
doesn't
okay
turn.
for a while. Now you got me really nervous. I have no family.
Right.
No, I mean, that's
You get me nervous now.
Well, no, I think it's good to be aware, but as I was mentioning, this is, you know, it's a difficult time right now, and, you know, I have to be really mindful how we roll it out, because I don't want this to be political. Because there are individuals that I have come into contact with that do not have fear, that trust that things are okay, that have facts that they want to share to back it up. And so
So diplomatic you are, Jill.
you know, but I mean, I have to be aware of how that gets rolled out and how it's contained and
Awareness,
where,
period,
you know what,
yes.
yeah. But I like the idea, because I'm all about dialogue, and I like the idea of, you know, putting my thoughts in my head, like, what if this happens? Here's the things I'm already thinking about, you know, at least for meals. Some of those other big ticket items, you know, I don't know. It's just a worried time.
But meals are the only thing that you have control over.
Pretty much
So
at this point, and
You
that's
have
a
to
real
limit it
critical
to
thing.
that. Even though those other areas are very frightening to people,
I don't know the answers for
you
those.
don't, and
Except
I'm
what the
not
case
qualified to
managers
really
can do.
talk about them.
How we can support them in the case
And
management.
and I don't think, let me just make myself clear, that's not what I'm saying, they have answers. I know she doesn't have answers. My point is this: some of those older adults, this is very stressful. Sometimes they just need to be able to talk.
Sure.
Right? And it's not about putting fear in you, but it's just to be there to de-escalate if there's some.
Right. Yeah.
Or where they can't, maybe resources where they can't go.
Right. If they don't know.
However, what's the contingencies on how do we deal and how do we help seniors, which is our role.
Them. Yeah. No, I like that.
Good suggestion.
Yeah.
I'm coming to your house.
Yeah, right. But there's a discussion at Janice's house. I'll give out her address.
She got a couple people in the house.
That's fine.
You crafted our new tagline today. Older adults are our business.
That's what I said.
No, that's
when
good.
I said it's our business. This is our
It
business.
is our business. Yeah.
This
Right.
is our
And
business.
that umbrella
the good,
sense,
the bad,
they
and the
that's
ugly.
our reason for being.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you know, I
Older
just
adults
guys
are our
understand where I'm
business.
coming from, but that's our business.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Older adults are our business.
Yeah.
I do like it.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It gets to the point.
And it's comprehensive.
It is. And we're not telling you what you are. We're just saying older adults. If you consider yourself an older adult, come on in. And
Well, and even if you are an older adult, don't consider yourself an older adult.
Well, that's another type one of
You
those.
can still, I know, we've got plenty of those. You can still come in. Okay, so that is all that I have.
was supposed to bring up.
It was a good discussion.
I know. Next time I'll tell you, maybe you can help me remember.
Yeah, it's not, and
Okay.
Thank you.
are there any other announcements? May 8th will be our next meeting. Is there any other business? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, you'll be.
I second.
I was like, Vance, you said it.
You telling me to say?
I was telling you that. Hey, I made it here, just in time.
All in favor,
Literally, I
please.
got up at 7:45.
We are adjourned.
Yeah, right.
Okay. You are naughty.